So did this bother you at all that your teammate sent this to your instructor? You guys are okay with that? Never ask an instructor if you need to come to class because you don't have anything to do. Number one, that's a terrible idea, right? You should always go to class. And never say it seems pointless. Just form alone in this email, there's so many wrong things. But to me, it seems like you need to have a powwow with your team, right? If you've got one rogue team member that's sending this email to your instructor, as a team, I would want to say, whoa, we got to get back together here, fundamentally. And we need to have a conversation about what's going on, okay? You've got one group member that maybe has a photo release, but then we don't know that this guy, it's a mess, right? So I think first thing you need to do as a group is to get back together and talk about your line and your chain of communication commands with your instructor and your team, right? The next thing I would think about is this whole interview space. So he said, you're more than welcome to interview your clients. Okay, well, then go do it, right? You don't know who the clients are. Okay, well then call this guy, call your community partner. Go see him, figure out who these people are, right? So you've got to take some more proactive steps, which I think you were kind of getting at, is how do you think a little differently about this, right? Anything else? Any other thoughts on this? Any groups? No. I think number one is just get together as a team foremost and really think about what you're doing, right? Okay, next one, scenario 3. Your team is tutoring with an after-school program for at-risk youth, so you can develop plans for new tutoring software. You hear from another student that the community partner is upset because your team has been wearing offensive phrasing on t-shirts. How do you respond? Via email, conversation, what do you say? What did you guys come up with?
We said that at the very least you call them to reach out and then
okay.
Or you can go visit them, obviously without offensive stuff on your shirt, and then just confirm that it's happening, and then if it is, apologize and ensure that it won't happen again. And after that, I would say you kind of just talk to your team. Don't really call anyone out in general.
Yeah.
To admit fault, just say hey guys, be careful. Don't
right.
Offensive stuff.
Right, and who knows? You hear from another student that the community partner is upset. Maybe they're not even upset, right? So having that conversation with them, saying, hey, we've heard that we may be offending you or offending, your clients. Could you talk to us more about it? I mean, as long as you're upfront about something like this is going to be okay. It's ignoring it that's a really bad idea, right? And who knows what this offensive phrasing is, if it exists, if it does exist. It may be perfectly fine on this college campus, but may not be okay if you're in a school or if you're working with, a special population, right? So those are just things we have to think about because ultimately we represent Purdue, right? Okay. Last thing I want to ask you guys. So we've been in school for 5 weeks, I think? I think this is correct. Think about one lesson you've learned in regards to your project. Surely you've learned something at this point, right? 5 weeks in. How have you been applying this to improve the overall success of your project? It's one thing. Anybody want to share one thing that maybe you've done? Lesson that you've learned so far. This is where we get to help each other in this process, right? Yeah.
So my project has a lot of different disciplines involved in it, and one thing that I learned that we can do that I didn't really think of in past ethics projects is so we needed some electrical components, and instead of just waiting for them in the mail, we just went and looked around in the electrical shop for them because there were some kids in ECE in our sub team. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of an option that just kind of appeared to me as it wasn't something that I previously thought of, but in the future I'll definitely consider that as an option instead of waiting a week to have something in the mail.
And are you in ECE?
I'm in computer science.
Okay, so because you had students in ECE who have a space where they have these parts, then I get you. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that's good. So you really thought about the resources you actually have available versus going out and waiting for them. Yeah, it's good. What else? What are some other lessons learned or things that you've realized? Doesn't mean you're actually applying it, but maybe something that you've realized is, oh, I need to do something about this as I move forward. What are some of those pieces or moments with your partners? Yeah.
We actually delivered the first version of our project, and we were waiting for feedback during the break, but we didn't end up getting any feedback from the teachers. So instead of waiting, we actually have a focus group set up next week, so we'll go to them instead of they
Very good.
feedback.
So from the focus group with the community then?
Uh-huh.
Oh, very good. Yeah. So ultimately, like, if your instructors are failing you, which sometimes we do that, hopefully not very often, you can keep asking, by the way. I hope you're continuing to ask your instructors, like, hey, we want some feedback. You should do that.
Feedback from the community.
Oh, from the community. Oh, not your instructors. Oh, sorry. Okay. Instructors will never fail you. There we go. But yeah, focus groups are great. So set up a focus group. Go there, meet them where they are, and get their feedback. That's a really great idea. That's a great thing.
Website, so we thought
Yeah.
it'd be easy. We have a page for feedback, so we thought it'd be
Right.
easy for them to just like look at the website and give us feedback.
Yep.
But like we had no feedback for a while. So.
Yeah, so if you go there, you stand up in front of them, you show them some websites, you have somebody recording notes, you're going to get lots of great information right there on site. That's good. What else? What are some other things? Yeah.
One thing that I've been trying to do a lot better this semester is that I've been trying to have more meaningful conversations with more people.
Okay.
Through asking questions rather than, just saying things.
Yeah.
And so I've been trying to do that more with both people at the neighborhood meetings, people on campus, people everywhere. So it's been really helpful in learning about people perspectives and ideas in general.
What drove you to that approach? So how did you get there? Or why, I guess?
One of the things that started out is my brother is the project manager for
Okay.
our team. And at the very end of last semester, I think it was Dev Week, we went on a site visit and he was talking with all the kids and he's really good with that sort of thing. And so he was really learning a lot about each individual. And so that kind of drove me to realize that's really important, not just there, but in general.
Right. Yeah, it's funny the lessons we learn from working with little kids, right? Like, oh, this is like, if you treat people like people and you get to know them, you're going to learn a lot of information, right? And you have fun. It is amazing what you'll get just over a casual coffee conversation, right? Yeah. And you're not there with necessarily an agenda, but you're getting to know people and asking questions. That's a really good idea. What else? Any other lessons learned, things that you're hoping to apply in your project, challenges you've come up against? It's okay to talk about the failures right now, things that aren't going well, and we can troubleshoot and help them get better too. Other challenges you guys have? They're all going smoothly? Yes. No other challenges? None? If I wait long enough.
We have like technical challenges, so like
Okay.
some of the new members like they have no coding experience.
Ah.
It's basically a website that has a big code base.
Okay.
So only like 2 members of the team are able to work on the website, where 2 members have to like go through that steep learning curve of like learning what code is and learning our code base too.
So how do you get them to contribute to your team?
As of now, they're just like learning.
So what could they do? What else could you use them for? Anybody other have experiences where they've got team members that don't know what they're doing with a specific technology? What else could you have them do? Are they running the focus groups?
Oh, like it's only 4 of us, so all 4 of us are going.
Oh, you're all going.
Yeah.
Okay. So you could have them do that. So have them take the lead on interacting with the public, right? If they don't know that technical space, maybe they can do something else. So give them other tasks, right? Think about giving people other tasks as they're learning that steep learning curve, right? Yeah. Other challenges or lessons learned, things that are important to share out as a group? You guys are so quiet. Okay, well, I guess my last piece of advice would be is to continue those communication channels and don't be afraid to ask questions with your partners, right? It's always important that we stop and we clarify, right? We get to know people and we clarify expectations. Those are the really key things to really think about as you're going through with these projects because they matter and they're meaningful. They really are important. Okay, the last thing that I will say is we have one more session in this series. This is about the Purdue Journal for Service Learning and Engagement. So if you want to take your work and turn it into a scholarly piece, the speaker on the 24th will talk about how to go through that process. But I'll be around here for a few more minutes. If you guys have questions or want to talk about your project specifically, I can answer them. So thank you for coming, and make sure you take those scenarios and recycle them in appropriate spots. All right.